Hey you guys, what's up? I'm Ashley from heavenathome.org, and this is the Heaven at Home podcast, where my goal is to encourage you in your personal growth journey while being open, honest, and owning my story. We have faith-based conversations and tackle a bunch of different tough topics. Check out the description to follow me and learn more. Remember, you are fully known and deeply loved. Let's do this. Hey guys, so before we get into this interview, I just wanted to quickly preface and let you guys know that this was recorded remotely through Zoom. So please just give this episode a little bit of grace as you listen to the audio. It sounds a bit like she and I are talking on the phone here. So Maribel's story is incredibly beautiful and incredibly baffling. And I think it's really awesome to see how God works. And I pray that getting a glimpse into her experience encourages you to seek out what God is doing in your life. That it encourages you to observe how he's working, take inventory of how his hands are shaping you, your mind, your heart. And I pray that you would also encounter God with intimacy and that you discover him and who he says you are. So without further ado, let's get into this interview. Okay, so hey everybody. I'm here with my sister, except she's not really here. She's in Florida, 500 miles away. So my sister's name is Maribel, but I call her Mare. It sounds really weird saying her full name. So Mare, you want to say hi?
Hi, everyone.
Yeah, so this is kind of new. She's like the first virtual guest I've ever had. I've always like wanted to do this, but never really knew how. So when I asked her if like she would be willing to let me interview her, I had like really only today to figure it out. So hopefully it goes well. But so I was thinking, I don't know what's up with me recently, but I've been having like a serious fascination with not only like my own encounters with God, but also other people's encounters with God. And I was remembering my sister's and how hers was like crazy to see in person, but then it's also just crazy to remember. So, Mir, first off, like, how about you just introduce yourself to everybody? Because I don't think they know anything about you.
Right. Okay. My name is Maribel Gomez. I'm 25. I live in Florida, Riverview. Um, I'm a hairstylist, and yeah, I guess that's the gist.
You forgot your husband and kids.
Oh, I thought we were just talking about myself. I guess I should mention that.
Yeah, so she's a wife and a mom.
Right. Yeah, I guess that is a big part of my life, huh? Okay, yeah, I'm a wife of 6 years and a mom to a 2-year-old, a 4-month-old. I have a stepson that's 14 and a stepdaughter that's 11.
Hmm. And a cat named Luna,
Yes.
who occasionally sits on my lap, but it's very rare. Okay,
Right.
so let's see. I'm trying to remember. Do you remember like the date that this actually happened? Like the date of your encounter with God? Like,
I know that it was in August of 2011.
okay.
That's all.
So that was high school, right?
Yes.
What
Freshman
grade?
year.
Freshman year?
Actually, it was after freshman year. So I guess
Oh,
going into my
sophomore.
sophomore year. Hmm.
Okay. All right. So, let's see. Let's start off with like I guess like just before what happened. Like what was going on in your life during that time?
Okay, so I guess I should talk about my freshman year then, kind of.
Yeah. Well, we're
Okay.
whatever you want to share.
Okay, well, I guess yeah, freshman year was like the most current at the time. So yeah, it was my freshman year of high school. I was pretty chronically sad.
Hmm.
So I guess now looking back, I was probably pretty depressed.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
Didn't I say stuff
Um,
about it at the time? I was like, bro, like
yeah,
you never
you
smile.
never smile. Yeah. Yeah, that was me. Um, and let me see, we had like a lot going on at home. I feel like there was like a lot of tension
Hmm.
in the house. A lot of things kind of went like unsaid, and a lot was kind of like I feel like swept under the rug, sort of.
Yeah.
So yeah, a lot of tension in the household.
Well, not
I
necessarily between like us as siblings, because I think in that time, like we were kind of close, but it was like
Yeah,
kind of more like the marriage dynamic between mom and our stepdad. It was a
right.
very tense time.
You're right. Yeah, so I had daddy issues. I was actually gonna say that right at, but you kind of touched on it just then. So yeah. So I definitely had some daddy issues.
Did you know that you had daddy issues at the time?
Not really.
Me neither. It
I
took me
honestly,
like,
I honest go ahead.
no, go ahead.
No, I just feel like it's kind of hard to call it daddy issues because it's like I don't really know how it's like supposed to be, but I assume it's daddy issues because I was kind of trying to like fill that void with other things.
Mm,
So, yeah.
I
But
realized I had daddy issues when I started, like when I graduated high school, and then like I had a lot of trouble picturing God as a father. And I was like, why is that? And I'm like, oh, it's because my perception of dads is not so great.
right.
Okay,
Yeah, or
so
just men in general.
okay, so that was going on. Was there anything else going on at the time?
Yes, I did have like three boyfriends my freshman year, not all at the same time, but like
Oh,
over the course of my freshman year. And I feel like
okay.
that's kind of important because
Mm,
we're talking about daddy issues.
mm.
So yeah,
Oh, wow.
obviously, I was just obviously young and ignorant, so it wasn't like anything that would grow and flourish. But
Mm.
um yeah, so I had
Were
three
they like back to
boyfriends
back?
and pretty much, I would say. I can't really like remember how much time was in between each, but
Mm,
yeah. And then also, I feel like it's gonna kind of like show how much God changed me if I talk about these things. I know it kind of makes me like a little bit uncomfortable, but I just wanted to mention that I was also like one of those girls in the hallway, making out and stuff and
oh,
doing what I wasn't supposed to be doing. So
oh, well, been there, done
yeah,
that. I'll throw myself
right.
under the bus with you.
Yeah, I just feel like I don't know, it kind of makes me uncomfortable, but I feel like it's kind of important to mention that because then it just shows like how much God really did.
Hmm.
And then what else? Oh yeah, I wanted to mention too that I would cry late at night, like to myself. I would just kind of be like in my thoughts and I would just be praying and I'd be like lifting my hands, just like praying for something. I didn't really know what I was asking for, but I knew that I had a void and I was in a way looking for God to fill that, but I didn't really know exactly what I was asking for. But
Mm,
yeah,
wow, that's real.
yeah, yeah,
Very, very real. Lots of stuff going on there. Okay, so all right, let's start with like what led to this encounter. Like, I guess like the setup of camp and everything. Like, how'd you feel about the youth camp or, like that
right.
whole thing?
Like always went to camp, like motivated and like hungry, like spiritually hungry.
Hmm.
So that's where I was at. I was really excited and anxious. The theme of the camp that year was the 3D experience.
Oh, okay. Yeah. For some reason I remember the t-shirt for that
Hmm.
one.
Yeah, I actually stumbled across the t-shirt today and I was like, wow, that's
Oh,
cool. Yeah.
okay.
So, yeah, so I was just spiritually hungry and I just wanted to experience God in a new way.
Hmm. Okay, so it kind of sounds like you went like expecting something, right? Like expecting.
Right.
Okay, cool. So what was the encounter like? Like, what was that moment like? What was happening around you? What was happening inside you? All that stuff.
Okay, so for me, um, I wish I mean, I guess now that was like over 10 years ago, so or about 10 years
Oh
ago.
my
Yeah.
goodness
So
gracious.
it's hard for me to remember like every little detail, but
Oh my
I
gosh, it's a
know
freaking decade.
I know it's
What the
crazy.
heck? Okay, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, it was during the worship and okay, he just got to like it was during worship and he paused for a second was saying that um someone here is going to experience what God feels like. You're going to
Mm,
feel what makes him sad, what makes him happy. You're going to feel those
mm,
things. And I just really wanted that. So when he said that, just like the spirit kind of just took over me and I was like dancing in the spirit and
mm,
I just like fell to the ground. And while I was on the ground, I like eventually I was just like laying there, but I like came to a point where I was like just crying, like sobbing, crying, like
mm.
a baby. Like it's weird talking about it because it's like from anyone like on the outside looking in, they're like, "What the hell?"
Is she going through? Like,
Exactly.
what did she do?
But right, exactly. But I was literally laying there like a newborn baby and just like crying as if I was crying for my father or my mom.
Mm,
You know what I mean?
mhm,
And this woman, actually, I have no idea who it was, but she like came over to me and she was like worship is going on and everything, but she comes to me and she tells me in my ear, she's like, "Don't be scared, don't worry, like God is healing you." And
wow.
yeah, so I just was still just crying and crying. And honestly, I didn't realize that God was healing me till like later on. Um, but I
Like,
was kind of just going through the like I was going through the motions at
yeah,
first, but then like I looked back and I was like, wow, like yeah,
God was
God
really
really
doing
made
something.
me. Yeah, exactly.
Mm.
So that was that, and then I was like basically just drunk on the holy. I just call it that because literally I was like acting like crazy.
I remember. I remember. I
Yeah,
was
like
like, dude, can you get it together, please?
oh my gosh, yeah.
But
So
it was so
like
like
the
literally.
service is
Sorry.
it. No, you're good. Go ahead. I should let you talk a little.
No, I was just saying it was like a 180, like, because you go from like this bland, depressing person to all of a sudden being like super cheerful and happy and laughing and affectionate. It was just like weirding me out. So,
Right. It
but
was weirding a lot of people out. Like everyone was like, "What the hell is wrong with her?"
yeah, so keep going with
Um,
what you were saying.
yeah. So like service is over, and I'm just like all like you said, just completely different. Like
Mhm.
I was like running up to people, telling them how much I love them,
Mhm.
and people were like hugging me and I just like was wishing that I had like arms big enough to like hold everyone. And if anyone looked at me like I was crazy, I would just start crying because I'm like, they
It's
just
so
don't
crazy.
understand how much I love them. Like, yeah, so it
That's
was pretty crazy.
crazy.
Yeah, and I just like remember looking up at the sky that night and just being like just feeling like so close with God for like the first time in my entire life. So yeah, it's pretty insane.
I remember, okay, so I remember you like there are like specific moments of your whole encounter, like after the fact that I remember in my brain. So one of them
Hmm.
was that like you were literally walking out of like the sanctuary that they had, the doors were open and you were still like dancing, and Angie's like to the right side of you, like pretty much like walking you.
Yeah, she honestly was like my babysitter. She was like my babysitter that night.
Yeah, and then we're like, I think we were going into the cafeteria or something, and there was like a glow light party or whatever. And I think you actually went up to the whoever was ministering at that point,
Yes.
and I found that so weird. I was like,
I
oh my
know.
gosh, is she crazy? I don't know
I
why I
know. I
thought
looked
that, but
No, I look back at it too, and I'm like, he looked like at me. He looked at me like I was crazy too. So,
Yeah. But you know what's crazy about like, okay, so anyway, so that's happening. You're hugging everybody, and I'm like, yo, like, what the heck is going on?
oh
Um,
wait, since
oh, go ahead.
sorry, sorry, no, I just because since you mentioned like the whole like at home situation, kind of like you touched on it.
Mhm.
Do you remember when we were in the dorm room
I
and
do.
I was just laying there and I like jump up and I'm like, I have to tell Ashley this.
Yeah, I remember.
And I was like, I love Mike. And I just started like sobbing
I remember.
because I was like, I literally like, I love him. It was crazy. That was like insane.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I definitely had like a lot of, resentment toward
Mm-hmm.
him and everything. And literally, like, all of that was just gone.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
remember like that was the moment. Like, cause for some reason, I don't know if I was in the cafeteria or something and you were in the dorm room and someone brought me over to you because they're like saying some stuff. And yeah, so you're in the bunks or whatever. And then I go over to you and you say that. I think the moment you said that is when I started crying and I was like, wait, hold up. Like something real just happened right now. But like the interesting thing to me is like, well, I guess it's just like if I look from the outside, knowing everything I know now, like I feel like it's kind of like what you said that like you actually had a moment where you realized like God was actually healing you.
Hmm.
Like, but all that was happening is that like you're laying on the floor, you're crying, but God's like doing something inside you. And then
Right.
all of a sudden, like, not only do you have a love for people, but you also have like a softness in your heart, which was very uncharacteristic of you. Like you were a very numb, hardened person at the time. And then like all of a sudden
Hmm.
you're just like this big softball. And then and then instead of I guess, hate or animosity or whatever, you suddenly feel love for someone that you didn't before. Like,
Hmm.
and I think a lot of times with like, especially like at the time, like, because we were raised in church and we were kind of familiar with experiences like that. And I think a lot of times people settled for like possibly like more superficial things like oh I cried a little bit and I fell over and I danced but like I
Right.
feel like what stands out about what happened to you is that like God actually transformed you like you were like
Hmm.
a completely new person. I guess I kind of focus in on you as a person and as a daughter and God as a father to you in that moment and everything. Like what would you say is the message that you received from God like for you or about you during that encounter? Like what were you getting to know about him and his character?
Okay. Well, like basically, as you said, with like how God basically transformed me. So, what I got from that experience is that God can heal and make new. He makes beautiful things out of sad situations. He's with me. He's in pursuit of me. He's a jealous God. Um, and I realized, well, I'm kind of making it like come back on me, but I'm saying like I realized I was looking for that in other places, like after the fact. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So yeah, I just feel like God is in pursuit of us, is what I got from that experience. Like,
Did
because we
you?
talk about,
No, good.
like ourselves pursuing God and seeking God, but sometimes I feel like we don't realize that He's also in pursuit of us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that there's something that you said um about like because initially it started like someone you said that the minister or somebody was saying that you're gonna feel what God feels or something.
Hmm.
And then afterward you were describing a moment where you were like, they just don't know how much I love them or
Hmm.
something. Like I could totally imagine God or like that being like an echo of things that God is actually saying to us, like all the time. Like I'm speaking to you, like I'm like my love for you is like ferocious and stuff.
Right.
Do you
I,
feel
I,
like,
I, I I was gonna say like a good word I use like often is insane. Like I really feel like his love for us is insane.
yeah,
Yeah.
do you feel like, and be honest about this because I'm actually just curious, do you feel like you learned anything about like who you are or like who he says you are in that moment? Like, did you learn anything about your identity in relation to him? Or,
I felt that like I really felt like I was a child of God. Like I feel like um I don't know the exact verse, but where it says that we're like adopted into him, I guess. I
mhm,
can't remember the exact verse. I don't know. But oh actually
like co-heirs?
the yeah, the verse is how great is the love the Father has lavished on us that we should be called children of God.
Mm,
Like after that, I truly felt that.
mm,
So as far as like my identity, I really felt like I belonged to him. And something that I realized about myself, I don't know if this is kind of what you were asking me or not, but I realized that um like I kind of felt that love was something that had to be earned,
mhm,
and I still struggle with that
mhm.
even after experiencing that. um
Same.
yeah, like I anytime I'm like noticing how imperfect I am, I'm like, well, you know what I mean? Like I don't know, I just like bash myself, I start to feel guilty and all these things, and then it's
Mm,
like you can feel those things, but God is God and God is love. So you
mhm.
know what I mean? Like that's just his
Yeah,
love. Yeah.
that's crazy. I remember like because it's been a while, but I feel like part of the reason that like you and I have like always been close is because like things like this, like it's very crazy like how similar like our internal stuff is to each other.
Right. It's
Which
so funny. Anytime I talk about you to my clients, I'm like, yeah, we used to like not really, we didn't really start getting along until like high school, but it's so weird because it's like we're so different, but we're also so like, it's weird.
yeah, yeah. It's yeah.
So
And
yeah.
I don't know. The thing is, like, I always wonder, like, what experiences did we have in our childhood or growing up or going to school or going to church? Like, what experiences did we have that made us feel like we had to be good enough to be loved?
Right.
Like, it's crazy. Like, it's crazy to think about because
That's true.
if it was a big enough moment, we'd probably both remember, which I do have
Hmm.
one in particular that I remember. But like ultimately to have been getting this like it's there's like this thing called implicit or I think it's implicit learning, which is when learning happens pretty much just by living like without intention, you're just absorbing stuff. But
Yeah.
okay, so two more questions really quick. Well, actually, three more. But what changes happened on the inside of you, which you kind of touched on a little bit? And then what changes happened on the outside? Like, so what happened with your
Okay.
heart, your mind, your emotions, and then what happened with your like behavior?
So as far as what happened on the inside, like you said, I touched on it kind of already. So new heart, I found forgiveness, I found love. Um, so yeah, that's for the question of what happened on the inside. And then as far as outwardly, since my whole personality was different, it was like basically people noticed obviously. Like I smiled a lot more and I was visibly more joyful. And I also had like this like higher pitched laugh at the time. That's not important, but I just find it
I
kind of
remember.
funny. Yeah, I found it kind of funny that I remembered that. And I was a lot more loving toward people, and I spent a lot more time with God. So I was like fasting a lot more, reading my Bible a lot more. I was just like all about God.
I remember you also bringing your Bible to,
Everywhere,
yeah,
like everywhere.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then didn't you start getting involved with like I forgot what the
Church.
club was. Yeah, church,
Oh
but
yeah.
also something at school. I forgot what it was called.
Youth for Christ or F. There was like athlete.
I have no idea.
Uh, yeah, like FCA.
I want to
FCA.
say FCA. I just don't know what
Yeah,
it.
right. I can't remember
Yeah.
what it stood for or anything.
All right.
Oh,
So, oh, good.
wait, I wanted to say one more thing because I remember the specific moment where I was in class. And this was like my sophomore year,
Mm-hmm.
and um, I was we were, I don't know, I don't remember exactly what was going on, but someone had commented that like, "Oh, you're so innocent," or something, and like someone else who knew me from the year before was
Mm.
like, she's not innocent." And I was just like, yeah, I mean, I know I'm not innocent, but God just, changed me.
Mm-hmm.
So
Well,
yeah,
dang, that kind of reminded me of
they
that.
didn't. I mean, they didn't say it rudely, but yeah,
Just
they
like
were just like, she's
well
not
experienced
innocent.
or something. I don't know.
Something. Yeah, I can't remember the exact conversation that was going on, but I
Mm-hmm.
remember those words.
Okay, so you were obviously like very young at the time, and we've mentioned that it's been a decade since all of this happened. So, like, what advice would you give to people in regard to like stewarding their encounters with God well? Like taking care of those things, protecting that intimacy, all that.
Right. I would say be grounded in your faith. Honestly, when you experience something like that, you can't like unexperience it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I would say to hold on to that and water the plant, as in, make sure you're reading the Bible, setting aside some kind of time in your day to be in his presence. I think at the beginning of the day is the best time because obviously at the end of the day you're really tired, but just making some kind of time for that is really important. And to like remind yourself of those things, and to not let anyone tell you that you're crazy or that your faith is a fairy tale or that you have false hope, because that is all a lie. And to not believe like the devil's lies or even the lies that you tell yourself. Like for
Mm-hmm.
me, I tend to like convince myself that I'm like too far gone sometimes, or that I'm not worthy. And honestly, like when I think about like what I experienced, it's kind of like laughable for me to say that because like God already knew everything, and he still,
Mm-hmm.
lavished his love on me.
Yeah.
So that, and
That's really true though.
um
I mean, I'm gonna throw myself under the bus really quick because I'll never forget like I don't know like what was happening at the time, but I remember we had our bunk beds. You were on the top bunk and I was on the bottom. And I feel like what I said was almost like a curse. Like, oh, you're just going through a phase, or like you're just like this for now, but one day like it's gonna end or something like that. And I feel I don't know like what happened, but I remember being really sorry about that. And to this day, I'm still like, I can't believe I actually said that. Do you remember that?
yeah, I remember.
Yeah. So like
Kev said,
what you said about like not letting other people, like sometimes those other people are the people closest to you. So like
right, yeah, and
sometimes
I've
you
had
have to protect it even from them.
not letting that get to you. I mean, at the
Mm,
end of the day, it's personal experience with God, and sometimes people are going to think you're crazy, and that's totally
yeah.
fine because God's love is crazy. So
Yeah.
yeah. Oh
But it
yeah,
was
and
real.
then
Like that's the
it
part I
was
keep
real. It
thinking
is real.
about. Like we're because I'm thinking about like literally a whole camp full of church people, and then like your own family, like including me. And like I'm just thinking about all these people like who had no idea like what a real thing God did like inside your soul that day. Like that just is mind blowing to me. But
Yeah.
okay, you were saying something. I think I keep interrupting.
Yeah. No, I was gonna say to also not let the fear of what others will think keep you from your blessing, and to not be afraid to change, not be afraid of change, because change is growth.
Hmm.
So yeah,
Yeah.
because like whatever happened, and like whenever that person made that comment, I didn't let the fact that like, oh yeah, I was like that, so yeah, I should stay like that. Like I was proud that she was able to see that something was different, even though she was like, well, she's not, whatever. But
Hmm.
you know, it just goes to show how great God really is, and the um the transformation that He can do.
Yeah. This was fun.
It was
It was
fun.
nice going down memory lane. All
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
So thanks for coming on and telling your story to everybody.
All right. I hope it was beneficial in some way.
I'm sure it's like
It's been,
encouraging.
yeah, I was gonna say it's definitely beneficial for me because I'm kind of going through a hard time right now. So I feel like I'm kind of talking to myself too.
Yeah.
So
But
that's always good.
because I've noticed even recently, like just hearing testimonies about like other people's healing or other people's successes or even other people's experiences like this, like they they're encouraging. Like they build up faith and they make people want to keep going and they make people want to ask questions and believe for more and all that stuff. So I don't think I
Right.
mentioned this like before, like when we were just starting out, but it like we're doing this at like 9, 10 p.m. when the kids are asleep. So this just seems like a mom hour to be doing this. Like I feel old.
Yeah. Right. Otherwise, it would just be hectic
Yeah.
and
And you'd hear the kids screaming in the
loud.
background
Right.
and Coco Melon and
Mm-hmm.
Mickey Mouse.
Yep.
All right.
Oh,
Well,
Roman's actually into Cocomelon now.
oh, cool, cool.
Yeah.
All righty. So see you guys in the next one. I want to say bye, Mir.
Bye, everyone. Thank you for tuning in, and comment any questions or any any thoughts or anything.
Direct message.
Wait, what is it? Was it like, comment, share, subscribe?
This isn't a
My
YouTube
sisters and me.
channel.
You can still subscribe and share
That's
and like.
true. Subscribe and share.
Yes, my sister's amazing.
Oh, Mir.
I'm serious.
Thank you guys so much for listening. Feel free to DM me to send me your feedback. Check out the description below to follow me on social media. This podcast is listener supported. Don't forget to subscribe. Remember, you are fully known and deeply loved. I'll see you in the next one.